is a gift, but it's not enough. You can have all the natural ability in the world, but if you don't put in the work, someone with less talent and more grind will pass you up. We see it all the time. Athletes who start strong but never make it, students who show promise but never reach their full potential, entrepreneurs with great ideas but no execution. Why? Because talent without work is wasted potential. You have to wake up every single day with the mindset that you're going to outwork everyone, not just rely on what you were born with. Natural talent can give you an edge, but it won't sustain you. Think about the greatest in any field: sports, music, business. They don't just rely on their gifts, they sharpen them. They put in the hours, the sweat, the sacrifice. They push when they don't feel like it. They grind when others quit. The reality is, talent without effort is like a car without gas. It looks good, it has potential, but it's not going anywhere. That's why you see so many naturally gifted people get passed up. The ones who succeed are the ones who show up early, stay late, and put in the reps, day in and day out. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They don't fall short because they aren't smart enough or skilled enough. No, the reason most people fail is because they stop, they quit. They throw in the towel the moment things don't go their way. They let frustration, exhaustion, and self-doubt convince them that they aren't capable of achieving greatness. But I'm here to tell you, the only way you truly fail is if you stop showing up. Endurance beats talent because talent fades if it's not backed by action. Natural ability means nothing if you're not willing to grind, to push past obstacles, to keep moving forward even when everything inside you is telling you to give up. Your ability to endure is what separates you from the rest. Think about it. How many times have you seen people start something with passion, with energy, with excitement, only to quit the moment they hit a roadblock? How many people do you know who have big dreams but never follow through? The world is full of people who start. The rare ones are those who finish. And finishing isn't about being the smartest. It isn't about having the best resources. It's about one thing: who's willing to keep going when it gets hard? Who's willing to push past failure, past frustration, past self-doubt? Who's willing to keep showing up day after day, even when it feels like nothing is happening? The truth is, endurance is built in the moments when no one is watching. When you wake up tired, but show up anyway. When you don't feel like practicing, but you do it anyway. When you aren't seeing results, but you refuse to quit. That's where champions are made. Think about some of the most successful people in the world: athletes, entrepreneurs, musicians, artists. They weren't born at the top. They climbed there, step by step, refusing to let failure stop them. Michael Jordan didn't make his high school basketball team at first. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. What separates them from everyone else? Endurance. They refused to accept failure as the final outcome. They kept going when most people would have quit. They knew that every setback, every rejection, every moment of struggle was just another step towards success. And that's exactly the mindset you need to adopt. Stop thinking success is supposed to be easy. Stop expecting instant results. The best things in life take time. The most worthwhile achievements require patience, discipline, and relentless perseverance. If you want to succeed in anything, whether it's business, fitness, relationships, or personal growth, you have to commit to the long game. You have to be willing to endure, because success doesn't happen overnight, but failure does when you decide to quit. You have to be the type of person who keeps showing up, the type of person who doesn't let setbacks define them, the type of person who understands that struggle isn't a sign to stop, it's a sign to push even harder. Every time you keep going when you want to quit, you build mental strength. Every time you endure another challenge, you become stronger. And eventually, that endurance pays off. You can't control how talented you are. You can't always control your circumstances. But what you can control is your effort. What you can control is how you respond when things don't go your way. And if you keep showing up, if you refuse to quit, if you push past every obstacle, success will come. Because at the end of the day, success doesn't belong to the most talented. It belongs to the ones who refuse to quit. Discipline is what turns talent into greatness. Anyone can be good when things are easy, but when life gets hard, talent won't save you. What will? The habits you've built, the discipline to keep going, to keep pushing, even when you don't feel like it. Most people think success is about what you do when you're motivated. No, it's about what you do when you're tired, when you're bored, when no one's watching. Do you still show up? Do you still put in the work? Or do you let excuses take over? The ones who make it are not just talented, they're relentless. They don't rely on motivation because motivation fades. They rely on routines, consistency, and discipline. They treat their work like a non-negotiable, not an option. That's what separates them. Well, the biggest mistakes talented people make is thinking success is a finish line. It's not. It's a moving target. The moment you think you've made it, the moment you get comfortable, that's when someone else, someone hungrier, someone more disciplined, catches up and takes your spot. Success is not something you achieve, it's something you maintain, and maintenance requires effort. That's why the best keep working, even after they've won. They know there's always another level to reach. They don't relax just because they're ahead. They keep pushing because they understand that the grind never stops. If you only do what comes easy, you'll never get better. Talent makes things easier at first, but growth only happens when you challenge yourself. You have to push past where you are comfortable. You have to take on challenges that stretch you, that force you to develop new skills, that make you level up. Every great success story includes struggle. Every champion has a moment when they had to decide, do I settle for what's easy or do I push for more? If you're not failing sometimes, you're not growing. If you're not struggling, you're not improving. You have to be willing to get uncomfortable if you want to achieve something extraordinary. It's not just about physical talent or skill. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have. If you don't develop mental toughness, talent won't take you far. Why? Because success isn't just about ability, it's about resilience. It's about how you handle failure, pressure, setbacks, and doubt. Weak-minded people fold under pressure. They quit when things get tough. But those who train their minds as much as their skills, they are the ones who push through. They don't let self-doubt stop them. They don't let fear hold them back. They turn every failure into a lesson, every obstacle into fuel. You can be the most talented person in the world, but if you don't take action, none of it matters. The people who win in life are not always the most gifted. They are the ones who take action, who execute, who put themselves out there. You have to be willing to take risks, to step up when others hesitate, to move forward when you don't have all the answers. The people who succeed are not necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They are the ones who bet on themselves. They take opportunities instead of waiting for the perfect moment. They don't let fear hold them back. At the end of the day, talent is just the beginning. It's what you do with it that counts. Talent alone is not enough. You can be gifted. You can have natural ability. But if you don't put in the work, if you don't push through the struggles, you will never reach your full potential. The world is filled with talented people who never made it because they rely solely on what they were born with. Meanwhile, the people who put in the grind, who stayed disciplined, who refused to quit, they are the ones who rose to the top. You see, talent might get you noticed, but it won't keep you in the game. Hard work, resilience, and consistency will. I've seen it too many times. Athletes, entrepreneurs, students, artists, all with an insane level of talent, but they fall short because they never developed the work ethic to match it. It's like having a high-performance car, but refusing to put gas in it. It doesn't matter how fast that car is capable of going if you never fuel it with action. Let me tell you something, talent without discipline is wasted potential. How many times have you heard stories of athletes who had the skills but never practiced, never showed up on time, never took their training seriously? They were supposed to be great, but someone with less natural ability who was willing to grind ended up taking their spot. Because discipline beats talent when talent refuses to work. Michael Jordan didn't make his high school varsity basketball team, but he didn't cry about it. He didn't let that failure define him. Instead, he used it as fuel. He practiced harder than anyone else, day in and day out, until he became the greatest to ever play the game. His talent alone wouldn't have made him the best. His work ethic did. Think about it. How many people do you know who were naturally smart but never studied, who were naturally athletic but never put in the effort? Now look at the people who weren't the most talented but outworked everyone around them. Where are they now? The ones who show up early, stay late, do extra, push beyond their limits, those are the ones who win. But here's the real truth. Talent can make you lazy. If everything comes easy to you, you might never feel the need to push yourself. You might think you don't have to work as hard as everyone else. But let me warn you, there's always someone hungrier, always someone willing to put in the effort, and eventually they will surpass you. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't talent. It's mindset. It's the willingness to go beyond what's comfortable. It's the ability to take hits, to stumble, to fail, and still get back up. The most successful people in the world, they weren't always the most talented. They were just the most relentless. Every single day, you have a choice. You can rely on what comes naturally to you, or you can sharpen your skills, discipline your mind, and outwork everyone else. You can make excuses, or you can make progress. Talent is a gift, but it's what you do with that gift that determines your success. So ask yourself right now, are you putting in the work? Are you willing to grind when no one is watching? Are you willing to do what it takes, not just what feels easy? Because if you're not, then talent alone will never be enough. Talent alone is not enough. You've heard it before, but I need you to really understand this. The most talented people in the world don't always succeed because talent is just potential. What separates winners from the rest is what they do with that potential. The grind, the discipline, the hunger to push past their limits. That's what makes the difference. Look at the greatest athletes, the most successful entrepreneurs, the most influential leaders. Were they all the most naturally gifted? No, but they had an unshakable drive. They refused to rely on talent alone. They showed up early, stayed late, studied harder, practiced longer, failed more times than they could count, and got back up every single time. That's what success takes. It's not just about how good you are, it's about how hard you're willing to work. Because talent might open the door, but hard work determines how long you stay in the room. Think about Kobe Bryant. He was talented, no doubt, but what set him apart was his Mamba mentality, his relentless drive. He was the first one in the gym and the last one out. He studied the game obsessively, took thousands of extra shots, trained even when his body was exhausted. He knew that talent alone wouldn't make him a legend. Hard work did. The problem is too many people believe that talent guarantees success. They think if they're naturally good at something, that's enough. But talent without effort is wasted. It's like having a race car, but never stepping on the gas. You might look good sitting in the driver's seat, but you're not going anywhere. And here's the hard truth. Someone, somewhere with less talent than you is working harder. Someone who wasn't as gifted, someone who didn't start with as much skill, is putting in more hours, more sweat, more effort, and eventually they will pass you. It happens all the time. In business, in sports, in life, people with half the talent go twice as far because they refuse to be outworked. I see it in the music industry too. You might hear someone who isn't the best singer, but they show up, they write, they perform, they network, they hustle, and they make it. Meanwhile, there's another person with a voice like an angel, but they don't put in the work. They don't push themselves, and they never reach their full potential. It's the same in every field. Talent without work is just a dream. Hard work turns it into reality. You can't afford to rely on talent alone. You have to commit to the process. You have to put in the hours. You have to push yourself past what's comfortable. Because let me tell you something, discipline beats talent when talent doesn't work. There are millions of talented people who never make it, but the grinders, the ones who refuse to quit, they are the ones who rise to the top. I need you to stop looking at talent as your golden ticket. It's not. It's just a starting point. Your work ethic, your discipline, your resilience, those are what will take you to the next level. So what are you doing right now? Are you putting in the extra hours? Are you practicing when no one is watching? Are you studying, learning, growing every single day? Or are you just sitting back expecting talent to carry you? If you really want success, you have to outwork everybody else. You have to be willing to do what others won't. You have to show up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. Because the truth is, Talent alone is not enough, but when you combine talent with relentless effort, that's when you become unstoppable. I need you to hear me loud and clear. Talent is only a fraction of what it takes to succeed. Too many people believe that if they have a gift, success is automatic. They think, I'm talented, so everything will work out. But that's the biggest lie you can tell yourself. Because talent doesn't work unless you do. Look around at the people who are winning. Are they all the most naturally gifted? No. But they are the ones who refuse to quit. They are the ones who were willing to put in the extra effort when nobody was watching. They are the ones who understood that skill and greatness aren't just given, they are built brick by brick through hard work and dedication. It's easy to admire successful people from a distance and assume they were just born that way. But what you don't see is the countless hours they spent training, studying, practicing, and failing before they ever made it. What you don't see is the sacrifice, the discipline, the hunger that drove them forward even when things got hard. I need you to stop thinking that talent alone is your shortcut to success. It's not. Talent is just a tool, and a tool is useless if you don't use it. There are people out there with less talent than you, but they will outperform you. Why? Because they have the mindset, the discipline, the consistency that talent alone will never replace. Let's talk about discipline for a second, because this is where people fail. They have the talent, they have the potential, but they lack the discipline to turn that potential into results. Discipline means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It means putting in the work on the days when you're tired, when you're uninspired, when nobody is pushing you. It means sticking to your plan even when things aren't moving as fast as you want them to. The people who rely on talent alone quit when things get tough. They expect everything to come easy because they're gifted. And when challenges hit, they fold. But those who understand that success is earned, they keep going. They push through the obstacles. They outlast the competition. This is why endurance beats talent every time. This is why discipline is more valuable than natural ability, because no matter how talented you are, if you're not consistent, if you're not disciplined, if you're not putting in the work, someone else will pass you. Think about all the people who started with so much potential but never made it. We've all seen it. Athletes who had all the talent in the world but lacked the work ethic. Entrepreneurs with million-dollar ideas who never executed. Artists with incredible skills who never put themselves out there. The world is filled with wasted potential. Don't let that be you. The real winners in life are not always the most talented. They're the ones who refuse to quit. They're the ones who work when everyone else is sleeping. They are the ones who study when others are partying. They are the ones who practice when no one is watching. So let me ask you, are you willing to do what it takes? Are you willing to go the extra mile? Are you willing to wake up early, stay late, and put in the work day after day, even when you don't see immediate results? Are you willing to stay committed even when no one is cheering for you? Because if you are, there is no limit to how far you can go. You don't have to be the most talented person in the room, but you do have to be the hardest worker. You do have to be the one who refuses to be outworked. You do have to be the one who chooses discipline over comfort, effort over excuses, persistence over quitting, because talent alone is not enough. But if you take that talent and combine it with relentless effort, unshakable discipline, and a mindset that refuses to lose, then nothing will stop you. I need you to understand something. Talent is just a starting point. It's like having a high-performance car, but no fuel. It looks good, it has potential, but without effort, it's going nowhere. Too many people rely on talent alone and expect the world to hand them success. They think because they're gifted, because they're smart, because things came easy for them in the past, they don't have to put in the same work as everybody else. But that kind of thinking will leave you stuck while someone with half your talent but twice your work ethic surpasses you. Talent is a gift, but mastery is earned. You don't become great just because you're naturally good at something. You become great because you show up every single day and put in the effort to improve. You sharpen your skills, you perfect your craft, you embrace the grind. Think about this. How many people do you know who had incredible potential but never did anything with it? They were the smartest in school, the most athletic, the most talented musician, but now they're nowhere near the level they should be. Why? Because they didn't have the discipline to turn that talent into something real. On the other hand, how many times have you seen someone who wasn't the most talented, who didn't start with the most natural ability, but they put in the work and now they're thriving? They put in the hours, they studied, they trained, they refused to let their lack of natural ability stop them from reaching their goals. That's the difference between people who win and people who fall short. The ones who win don't rely on talent alone. They add something to it. They add discipline, they add resilience, they add work ethic. Now let me break something down for you. When you rely on talent alone, you become complacent. You stop pushing yourself. You assume you've already got what it takes, so you don't put in extra effort, and that's when you lose. That's when somebody who is hungrier than you, somebody who is grinding harder than you, somebody who is willing to sacrifice more than you takes your spot. You might have talent, but do you have the endurance to outlast the competition? You might have talent, but do you have the hunger to keep pushing even when things get tough? You might have talent, but do you have the mindset to keep growing, learning, and improving every single day? The moment you think you've arrived, the moment you stop putting in the effort, that's the moment you start falling behind, because there is always somebody else out there putting in the work. There is always someone training harder, someone reading more, someone preparing for the opportunities that you're taking for granted. So I need you to ask yourself, are you coasting on your talent, or are you building something greater? Are you just getting by, or are you putting in the effort to maximize your full potential? Because talent might open the door, but work ethic is what keeps you in the room. There are no shortcuts to success. There is no easy path. If you want to be great, if you want to leave a legacy, if you want to be the best at what you do, you have to be willing to outwork everybody else. You have to be the first one in and the last one out. You have to be the one willing to push through the pain, the setbacks, the failures, the doubts. You have to be the one who doesn't just talk about what you're going to do, you actually do it. Because at the end of the day, success is not given, it's earned. So stop waiting for talent to do the work for you. Stop assuming that just because you have potential, you're guaranteed to win. Start grinding. Start showing up every single day like you have something to prove. Start working like your future depends on it, because it does. That's the mindset that separates the winners from everybody else. That's the difference between the people who make history and the people who get forgotten. So the question is, are you willing to put in the work